All right. Are we recording? We're recording. All right, we're recording. Okay, good. We're recording. Okay. You hear me? We're recording. All right, we're recording. All right. Everybody, the woke liberal mob is using the media and YouTube to take away our spaces for entertainment. And in this modern day where the blue-haired, non-binary alphabet army culture warriors use every opportunity they can to inject their LGBT transgendered anti-American Marxist agenda into everything, even if it destroys the family and encourages deviant behavior. We can't enjoy mermaids, we can't enjoy Paw Patrol, gas stoves, going out to enjoy a play, or even dating without the demonrat, cucks, soyboys trying to ruin traditional values with utter and complete perversion and grooming at every single goddamn level. Okay, so if you're liberal, I don't want you in my country, I don't want you in my kids' schools or on my TikToks, I don't want you living inside my TV, I don't want you watching this video. Okay, no Democrats allowed. All right, I'm gonna give you like 5-10 seconds for all of you to leave. If you're on the left side of the aisle, I need you to leave. Okay, groomers, get the hell out of here. No woke people. All right, we're gonna count down. We're gonna say okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, all right, Democrats are gone. Just let's take a sigh of relief here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think it's obvious that I'm not a conservative MAGA whatever. I'm actually about as far left as you can get without actually tossing the Molotovs into Parliament windows. So you might wonder, why would I ever want to make an argument against myself? Or why would I want to willingly put advice out there that the other side could potentially use for their own ends? Other side. Well, for two reasons. One is I get tired of seeing such stupid and repeated arguments as trans people are grooming our kids or Democrats drink child blood, because both are so old and so easy to disprove. The other reason is that you may find that some of this advice might be pretty universal and just good for people to hear, so that hopefully, with enough effort from enough people, the discourse between liberals and conservatives can start to take a turn towards good faith and well-intentioned, in contrast to mean and rhetorical. Before we get into the meat, let's establish one prevailing methodology to everything I'm about to say. Everything mentioned here takes into account the certain truth that 2/3 of the world is undeniably stupid. Period. I will not compromise on that. That is a thing that I have just learned and seen and observed and whatever. Keep that in mind anytime you are in a discussion with anybody. The other things I want to mention now, but I'll cover more in depth in the following section, are that we understand with zero compromise that both sides of the issue, both the for and against, are coming to the debate in good faith and intend to tell absolute truth in their testimony. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but for some reason or another, I know I shouldn't. But we'll get into it. I know that kind of means that we should treat a debate, even on the street or in the classroom or in an office, God forbid, like someone making a case in court. Believe me, it'll make sense. It'll help put you in the right mind space. We'll go over that more later as well. Now that I've thoroughly shaken off any curious libs, here are some essential tips on how you can win a debate with any woke liberal SJW, whatever term you people use to define entire groups of people you don't agree with. So the first thing that you need to have in order to form an effective argument against someone is a foundation. First, we'll cover the most important foundation you need, and then we'll cover the overall foundation for the argument. Laundry's done. There's a gender stereotype I'm breaking for you, for that ass. All right, so the first foundation that you're gonna need to recognize that you need in order to make a good argument is you. You are the foundation, okay? You have to acknowledge who you are. You have to come to grips with where you stand, or if you're playing devil's advocate, then you need to develop a good relationship with your point that you're trying to make. And what that means is if you are unsure of whether or not you are somewhere on the LGBT spectrum, if you are not sure of your cultural heritage, if you are unsure of where you stand on abortion rights, your arguments are going to suck because you won't have faith in them. So the people observing will not have faith in them either. You need to have a foundation. You need to be a foundation to build arguments off of, to use your own experiences and your own point of view to inform the points that you make so that they are either educated or convincing enough that they're going to sway people to your side of the argument. The other biggest foundation you're going to need is to have a foundation under the argument itself. Think of this like a house. If you really want me to dumb it down, if it's not making any sense, because of course of the 2/3 principle. Think of it like a house. When you look at a house and you dissect it and lift everything, the thing that's the most bottom is going to be the foundation, right? That's usually made from concrete, usually made from something hard like stone, slab, packed earth, you know? The reason being because the foundation needs to be strong in order to hold up all them wooden beams and stuff that go into the house and the people that live in it. A good example of a argument with a strong foundation is the sky is blue. We know there is a sky. We know that it looks blue, and arguments can be made against that. Sure, you can hear those arguments. Sure, I'm sure some logic. I said sure a lot to those arguments, but it doesn't mean anything because it is a well-established fact that the sky is blue, just in general. An argument that does not have a good foundation is that pornography is currently being allowed to be viewed in our library and that it's like some new thing. Foundation is weak on that because The Perks of Being a Wallflower has been on school shelves since the 90s, and all the other books that had been banned in the early 1900s, the last time this whole outrage came about, have been in the library ever since and have been celebrated and lauded for all of their content, no matter what it is, no matter what it depicts. It just so happens that you guys don't happen to like gay people, and you don't want to hear about it, and you don't want to see it in books because it makes you uncomfortable, either because you're trapped in the closet or because you're afraid of new things. So I don't remember the point I was making. I just went off on a tangent there, didn't I? Don't get me talking. Don't get me rambling. Point being, to summarize, you need two foundations. You need a good foundation for yourself, meaning you need to know who you are, and you need to be able to stand by your belief or your claim or the argument you're making. Get a good relationship, get in bed with it, get all cozy with it, get all warm and sweat and hot and whatever with that argument, and then you'll have a strong foundation. And then it'll be hard for people to argue against it, because in order to argue against an argument with a good foundation, you have to make an argument that might potentially have a weak foundation. If I tried to argue that the sky is green or black, I mean, well, actually, I could probably argue that the sky is black. That's a bad example. Just space is like, we kind of see it black. Sorry, I'm real stoned right now, so my ADHD is just like, woo, put me out there. Yeah, woke lib, right? Hey, if you're watching up till now, you might not be as conservative as you thought you were. The second thing that you are going to need to make a good argument against a woke SJW lib cucks soy boy Daniels, that's right, is to confirm and follow, no idea why I'm doing karate, confirm and follow the logic. Obviously, you want to make sure that an argument that's being presented makes sense. I think it's very easy for people to react first and then make a measured response later once they've already made their reactive. I mean, I see it all the time, especially in emotional stances with things like abortion or religion or things that just are hot button issues that people really get passionate about. People will react to what they hear first. They'll do a big diatribe. They may have enough experience to control their emotions on the fly and really be able to measure themselves, but you don't have that yet. That's why you're here. You keep losing arguments. That's why you're listening to me. Okay, I'm giving you these tips, so obviously you don't have that ability yet. Hopefully, with some discipline, we can learn together how to increase the level of discourse, okay? So let's keep going. Making sense, following the logic, confirming. What you want to do is you want to confirm that you heard what they were saying correctly. What you don't want to do is You don't want to create a straw man, which I'm sure everybody has heard at some point, which means that you're creating an argument that didn't exist. I see this a lot on your side, where you'll listen to something that somebody says, but you won't hear it. You just hear whatever buzzword or term that you disagree with, and you fixate on that. And it's either you're being called that, they're calling themselves that, they're saying they support that, they're saying they hate that, or something. It's always some sort of implication against your identity, just for some term you don't like. And it's clear, it's evident in a lot of cases that you just don't know most of the time what those terms mean or what the nuance is that they're being used. So you have to think to yourself, what's logical? You got to confirm what you heard. If you have to go point by point, do so. If you have to, I mean, I'm really not talking about like competitive debate where you have a time limit. I'm mostly talking about something where you can just have a bit of a freewheeling discussion with another person whom you hope is going to respect you and allow you to share your beliefs. That was a really long explanation. Point being, let me just adjust my volume levels here. Point being that you want to make sure that you heard them correctly so that you don't go down a whole rabbit hole of arguments that don't need to be made. And they're only going to make you look either closed-minded, dumb, or that you didn't listen or you didn't hear the point or that you're refusing to be honest or straightforward or transparent. And that erodes your foundation. So you're going to, not be able to make a very good argument based off of that. So confirm what you heard, then you want to follow the logic. Break down all the main points that they made. Like say, cottonmouth, hang on a second. Let me refill my what's. What, my what's? I just invented a new term the Zoomers can use. Generation Alpha, Beta, TikTok. And at each major step of the argument, you want to make sure to ask yourself first, why and does it make sense? Why were they making this argument? What could their motives be? Maybe there's something hidden underneath what they're saying. Maybe they're arguing in bad faith. There's some ammo there against us. You need to read under that stuff. You need to ask why they're making the argument, and you need to ask, does it make sense? I know that around 60% of America claims to identify with Christian religion. And so I would find it hard to find the logic in the argument that God exists, even though that's like a widely believed thing. Like you would say that you're in the majority, So me being either agnostic about religion or atheist or whatever would make it very hard for me to follow your logic. So I don't think that I could necessarily, I know enough about religion myself, but I don't think that me as imagining myself as a person off the street who's trying to learn how to debate someone from the opposite side of the aisle, I don't think I'd be able to make a very good faith argument based on religion if I was atheist or agnostic. So it's got to make sense, and it's got to make sense within the environment in which the debate's occurring as well, which means that if the argument is sort of tangential, or if it seems like they're trying to change the topic by themselves making a straw man or trying to gish gallop and ask a bunch of questions before allowing you to respond, which again is really kind of notorious for the right side of the aisle, but we do it. Feel free to call us out on it. Follow the logic. Ask you either go through it point by point. Does this make sense? Why are they arguing it? And feel free to ask those questions. I believe that being honest and straightforward and direct with people is the best way to handle any misunderstandings. So do that. Shrug emoji, water. And the third thing, which is kind of like a soft final thing, is to just check the source. In a lot of online debates, you have the option, pull up a browser window and check the source of whatever's being claimed, check your source, check the source of your claim, make sure that it has a strong foundation that's already covered. And tip number one, see, it's in action right here, bada bing. Develop a very strong foundation for your own argument and check the source of the other guy's argument. You want to make sure that they're telling the truth. You want to make sure that you're telling the truth. It's very easy to forget things that you are trying to share ideas about because all of that stuff gets real jumbled up. There's a lot of case law, there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of periodicals that come up that some people remember with no effort at all, and some people have to write down and develop volumes of memo pads on whatever because they can't type as fast as they can write by hand for some stupid reason. Not me, I can type faster than anybody that I know, and I'm a technological genius despite my ability to speak. Check the source. Often Google, despite whatever conspiracy theory about who's running Google. Is Google's head suspected of any child blood drinking. I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate. I welcome it. Share your conspiracy theories. Maybe I'll make a video on that. But Google's very reliable. You can usually go to the first 5 sources that are listed on whatever question you type in. Don't go to places like Quora. People there can just type in whatever qualifications they want. It's bad advice. Don't listen to it. A lot of it is Eastern based. I guess maybe a lot of the users might be in India or China, possibly. I don't know. Again, maybe you guys tell me. Don't get advice from, or don't get sources from 4chan or Reddit, or if you do, verify them. Like go type them in, like type the link of the article into like a bias fact checker program or algorithm or whatever that's also available on Google. Or feel free to like look on, I don't know, watch the news or like find a video that cites the source or like memory or something that provides an article itself or provides a study or something like, or have a study yourself to link or have a study to bring up on the screen or whatever. Just having a source, checking your source, all that stuff is essential to making a good argument. And I don't see a lot of that happening again on the right. So I'm giving you the tools to do that. Check the source, check every source. Twitter is not a good source. A Twitter video, a photo of something that could potentially be manipulated, even if you trust the person it's coming from, then gets quoted to a news organization's tweet that then gets retweeted by some grandmother in Arkansas talking about how demon rats are sucking child blood, and then it goes viral, and then you get the pundits and the talking heads all quoting it and retweeting it and things like that. And so that's not a source. Sources must be verifiable. Sources must be able to, you have to be able to go to the very, very bottom of whatever the story is, find out who wrote it and what school they went to, and be like, yo, that dude's not a journalist. Like, dude was a failed comedian or whatever, like maybe not that crazy. Maybe don't get like super Twin Peaks about it, but do check matzo balls. I mean, the source. Do check the source. Check the source. Mamma mia. Okay. Now the last tip, this is a good one. This is a heavy one, okay? It's question, all right? It's a question that you must ask yourself when you look at any source, argument, person making an argument, person online making an argument, person online taking a stance, anyone, including myself, including like the most altruistic person you can think of. Like if Martin Luther King was doing this, if he was putting videos on YouTube, all of this stuff, you must ask yourself the question. Here it is. Are you ready for it? It's important. Is it propaganda? That's a big secret right there. So if you'll notice, typically in television, commercials crop up every 20 minutes. Right? Advertisements are not supposed to exceed 15% of the broadcasting day, or 20% if they're direct advertising. So like those buying channels like QVC or whatever. Did the lighting just change? Oh, hello. I'm light again. And it's because of oversight from the FCC, whoever controls that stuff. So basically, the way that this works, and this is just the start of a long ladder here, so bear with me. All right, so we've determined that there is some rule, I don't know if it's a law, but there's some rule that says that advertising can't take up more than 15-20% of the entire budget for like a TV day. That's because of oversight. That's because they want to have restrictions on advertisers to make sure that, there are no monopolies, or that you're not overtaking what's supposed to be entertainment or something. I'm not quite sure. I assume it's like corruption, or it's like it's to keep from getting too big. I don't know. Point being that advertisers had to think of other ways to diversify their marketing campaign. And fast forward to today, I mean, there were a lot between the 70s and now, but let's just make this very, very simple and say that nowadays we're actually looking at most advertisers going for short form media, typically under 10 minutes. So the reason why a lot of big YouTubers have videos that are just simply over 8 minutes, like maybe 8 minutes and 10 seconds, it's in order to get the maximum ad revenue. And again, I don't know the ins and outs, but I know that maximizes the ad revenue for whatever reason. So all that to say that most content that we we consume on a commercial platform like YouTube, Twitter, anything that has, like, let's say over 1 million users, even probably less than that. Let's say anything that serves as a platform at all is meant to advertise on. It's meant to work advertising into. And if they can't buy ad space on the site itself, they will put advertisements in between the little ad breaks in the videos. If they can't afford to do that, they will sponsor the videos and just pay the people to put them out, whether they get ad revenue from it or not. And if they can't do that, they will put paid advertisements in the content of the video. Like, let's say, for instance, Alex Jones whipping out a bottle of pills and saying, I take these every goddamn day and you gotta take them or else your balls are gonna shrink up and your frogs are gonna turn gay. So that would be a wrapping an advertisement into the content, straight up advertisement. And then if they can't do that, they will do what I saw in a recent Manosphere video, and they will simply ask the influencer to put the label of something that they've provided them out as like a product placement thing. They're doing product placement like they used to do in the 80s in TikToks now. It's crazy. That's crazy, man. So the one where it's wrapped into the content and the one where it's just product placement, those are the ones that are most appropriate to arguments that you might see people making on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, especially what people consider far left or far right content that, you know, talking heads put out these days about politics. If there's an ad break, if there's a sponsorship, I find it always very sort of gauche. I feel like it diminishes a bit of the argument, though, if the argument is still as strong as the other, or if the argument's still stronger than the other side's and the other side is also hawking stuff, then maybe it's a wash. I don't know. I hate capitalism, so I feel like it's damaging on both sides to have advertisements in with this and just give money to these corporations that don't ultimately give a shit about either stance. They just want the arguments to continue, so the engagement will continue, and so the clicks will continue, and so the more people will get furious about this shit, the more they're going to argue about it, the more YouTube's going to like it, the more it's going to promote it, the more people are going to get pissed about it, the more they're going to argue about it, the more YouTube's going to promote it, the more the ad revenue is going to bring all that money in, and blah 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 blah, bada bing bada boom, you've got a cash cow. See why I hate capitalism? Like, what? Where? We could be curing cancer. People are arguing about fucking pronouns. What was the last thing I said? Propaganda. Is it propaganda? Did we cover everything on is it propaganda? Yes, I believe we did. You want to take any argument that is made paired with an advertisement as something to think about and consider, and most of the time there's a good reason behind it. Like, if it's a YouTuber and they have an advertisement, like they're sponsored or whatever, that's their livelihood, and I hate to burst any bubbles, but chances are a lot of YouTubers don't care about it, the majority of specific cases that they feature in their videos. It really just, it makes for good content, and yes, it's important to consider the messaging, but I think that aside from if they are to lobby a response, like something angry or whatever, then I don't think the YouTuber really gives it a second thought. Maybe they do, and maybe some of them internalize it and use it for future debates or reactions or commentaries, but that's not for me to determine, and I don't care. And I don't care. No, I don't care. God, such cottonmouth. Damn. Woo. And the lid's closed. Now, if you took all this advice word for word, you really, really, truly, no lie, like as the kids say, no cap. You didn't cap any of that. You didn't put a cap on. There's no caps around your face or head. If you really, really follow this stuff, and believe me, I'll admit to this, my own self, that being honest and transparent about the stance that you're taking in an argument is very hard if you feel emotionally invested. It's very hard to be honest. It's very hard to argue in good faith if you are a passionate person and if you really care about it. I understand that. I really do. But if you want to make a good argument, and if you want to win the argument, you have to take the advice, and you have to take it word for word, and you have to make good faith arguments, and you have to use sources and have a good foundation, etc., etc., etc. Now, if you did all this, if you followed the advice word for word, and you followed each recommendation I made to the letter, and you find that you might not still be winning debates you're taking part in, it's time to learn the most valuable, essential tip of all. Okay, this is the most essential tip for winning any argument, for dominating any opponent, and for defying the laws of nature with your insanely amazing abilities to rationalize. Okay, here it is. Absorb these words, as repeating them will commit them to memory. I'm supposed to be rubbing my temples. And living their core will seriously, legitimately get you all the love and respect and support and everything you need to thrive in social circles. Okay, I'll stop stalling now. Here it is. Question everything, including yourself. Revisit your beliefs on occasion, and if they're wrong or outdated, change them. And most of all, be willing to admit it if you did. You will at some point in your life change your mind about something. Because the environment you live in, being a conservative, looks at change as a type of weakness, and mostly as an inability to maintain your current life, to be an alpha or to be a strong man. You need to be unchanging and you need to be uncompromising, and that's just not true, okay? In keeping with my own advice, let me remind y'all that it's a pretty well-established fact, which, for the do-your-own research crowd, that's Google that I used. It's top like 15 results about, life and what makes a balanced lifestyle and what makes happiness and whatnot. That a well-balanced lifestyle with free self-expression and self-acceptance, a supportive social support network, and strong and honest relationships is the best way to grow and thrive. The things that you think of when you think of a strong man or a strong person. Rah, rah, blah, blah. Cotton mouth. Having the discipline to question your own beliefs is a sign of someone who is comfortable with who they are and well adjusted to the scary shit in the world around them. It means that something that shakes their core belief, like for instance that there are only two genders, won't cause them to react in a way that causes exclusion over inclusion, like supporting or voting for laws that take rights and freedoms away from trans people, or worse, a drastic reaction that leads to bigotry or even worse, violence. That's discipline. The ability to know something doesn't mesh with the way you see the world, but to be able to rationalize that it is in no way harming you. Further, being strong in your own perception of the world will keep you from falling victim to the propaganda you might hear, or to have the right amount of skepticism to a claim that might be made against something you believe, and cause you to actually follow the logic and source the claim, determine if it's true or not, and then to adjust your beliefs accordingly. Those dynamic personalities are the most happy by far, and the most able to safely navigate the world without constantly being afraid. That's what you guys want, right? That peace of mind, to be less afraid in the world, to be less afraid of your fellow Americans, of your fellow human beings. Well, then follow the fucking advice. That's about all I got for you.